What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, here with another installment of T3 Off the Cuff, your one-stop shop for daily horology news. Now, we are going to be talking about perhaps one of the most iconic aviation-themed watches of all time today, and it's not an Omega, it's not an IWC, it's definitely not an Oris. You know, all these watchmakers that are now associated with pilots' watches, it's not even a Stova. The watch that you see here, it's not a Stova. You know, Omega with their aviation watch, the Speedmaster, known for going way up into outer space, or like Oris with their Pro Pilot series, or IWC with all of their different pilots watches. It's none of those things. It's not a GMT Master 2. Believe it or not, GMT Masters are pilots watches. Now, this is an even more iconic, even more important pilots watch that I think is kind of underrated, even though it's perhaps the most important pilots. I don't know. We're going to talk about all of this today. But before we do, you already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so you get notified when we upload, because we upload pretty much once a day, sometimes twice a day on this channel. Join the channel memberships. It's like $4.99 a month. You get some extra content and access to that members-only Discord chat. And follow me on Instagram at The Simple Consultant. You can see the bottom right hand of the screen. That is my Instagram handle. You can see my personal life, my car collection, just everything about T3 is over there. All right, guys, let's tell the time and get into it. It is 11:44 a.m. Let's get down to business. Now, I am wearing a pilot's watch, and you can actually see it in the background right here. The Stova. I'm going to do a little right here. The Classic Flieger. Oh, the Stova Classic Flieger that I stole from my best friend Patrick. Mein best friend Patrick. I stole his Stova. We're not talking about that today. We got to cut out the offensive German stereotype. All right. Boop. Breguet. It's buzzing. It's buzzing around the... And I'm not saying it's bussin'. This Breguet is bussing, no cap. It's buzzing around the horological sphere right now, because Breguet Type 20 and Type XX chronographs, Type 20 chronograph. I'm very excited about these, but first we're going to talk about the history of the Breguet Type 20 and why it's so important. So shout out watchtime.com. Here's a beautiful picture of one. This is Louis Charles Breguet. He's in a plane. He's chilling in a plane. And he's like, let me see, the great-great-grandson of Abraham Louis, one of the early aviation major pioneers. Here's what's really cool that I want to show you. This is a Breguet cockpit clock from World War I. That's pretty dang cool, and I would absolutely love to have this like on my shelf or something. Who knows, maybe Hodinkee could curate some of these and sell them for $1 bajillion a piece, and they'll still sell out. I'm not jealous. Crazy. Chronique des avions. Louis Breguet. Paris, New York. Hey, the Big Apple, forget about it. Early chronograph. Type XX, Type 20. Very cool. We see another one with second generation with a timing bezel. And then we see the Breguet Type XX. Again, timing bezel, more modern, very modern here. Little display case back showing off the open heart. Yes. And a rose gold edition. I actually don't like either of these, by the way. But, and I also am not the hugest fan of these 3817s. That's a 3817, right? Yes. 3817. Not the hugest fan of this one. Nice rotor, though. Look at that backside. This one, Breguet Type 20 from 2019, is gorgeous, because this is kind of like a reissue of the vintagey ones. So, Breguet is one of the earliest aviation timekeepers of all time. Other than Cartier. I mean, let's face it, Cartier Santos Dumont is actually technically a pilot's watch as well, and that's like one of the earliest ones, but we're not going to get into that can of worms because people get upset. They're like, well, no, that wasn't really a pilot's watch, and then it's like, yeah, it kind of was, but regardless, We're going to talk about the Breguet. Louis Charles died in 1955, ending an extraordinary life of aeronautic accomplishments. His company merged with the French aircraft manufacturer Dassault. In 1971, it was subsequently rebranded Dassault Aviation. Whether it's wristwatches or airplanes, however, the impact of Breguet dynasty is enduring and undeniable. The Type X collection is the purest and most sublime expression of its shared history. Guys, we can't deny that these are proper pilot's watches. They might not be Fliegers, right, like the one that's on my wrist, but they are pilot's watches. They're aviation timekeepers, and it's very, very cool. What does Bell and Ross call their watches? Like aviation instruments or like time instruments. I don't know. They have some like, we're cool. While Louis Charles Breguet was finding his success in the aeronautical endeavors, his family's watchmaking firm, still based in Paris, known as Breguet et Cie, was undergoing some transitions in the early 20th century. Louis Antoine Breguet and Abraham Louis's grandson, whose two children declined to enter the family business after his death at age 31, sold the company to Edward Brown, a British watchmaker who had served as Breguet's factory manager. Brown's son Henry took the reins of the company, renamed it Maison Breguet in 1900 after his father's death and his brother Edward's retirement. So this has stayed all in the family, and they've been making really, really cool watches. But enough about that. I think I actually already did like a history lesson on this watch. I want to talk about these new ones because these are proper, almost reissues. They're not perfect. We're going to talk about it. Okay. Type 20, Type X. The name Breguet is often associated, for obvious reasons, with its illustrious founder, Abraham Louis Breguet. In other words, one of the most prominent watchmakers of all time. However, the Breguet family left its mark in another field, namely aviation. Louis Breguet, 1880 to 1955, descendant of A.L. Breguet, was one of the pioneers of aviation in France. He founded the Société d'Aviation Louis Breguet, exporting his planes to multiple countries around the globe, participating in the foundation of Air France. That's pretty important if you ask me. But we're going to be talking about this unsigned. Look at that. Puffy radium. Gorgeous. I'm surprised that the dial isn't burned, actually, from that. You'd think it would be a tropical kind of burned dial from the radium, but puffy, beautiful. Very vintage. That gorgeous onion crown. Just a gorgeous watch. Here's another one, Type 20. Absolutely love it. Look at this. More puffy radium. It's just these are gorgeous watches. I'm a vintage freak, but these are gorgeous watches. And now we move on to, again, timing bezel. This is the second generation. These current ones, okay? Both editions, there's undeniable vintage inspiration. Yes, we do know that. And gorgeous. It's not puffy, but it's still creamy. And they actually do, I believe, yeah, they have like a lume shot here. So I guess it glows. Is this a lume shot? Now, what's sticking out here that we wouldn't like? Can anybody guess? Big ol' rotor. 100-meter water resistance rating. It's that dastardly date window. Gorgeous case back. Okay, so that's not lume. It's just one is faux patinated, one isn't. Look at that. Shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have done it. I hate that. I hate that they put that on. Why did you have to do a date complication, Breguet? Should have not done that. Shouldn't have done that. Just a boy. Shout out. If anybody can get that reference, I might send the first one. I might send you a time teller mug. These are really cool watches, right? Type XX, Type 20, whatever. We're going to talk about the pricing in a moment. Let's talk about the technical specifications. Shout out Monochrome Watches for the information. 42 millimeter, 14.1 millimeters thick. Stainless steel, of course. Type 20, reference number 2057 for the new one, bidirectional graduated bezel. We see blah, 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 blah. Where is it? Matte dial, that's pretty standard. Caliber 7281 for the Type 20. Caliber 72.8 for the Type XX in-house. It's a flyback chronograph. Column wheel, vertical clutch, automatic with a central rotor. 34 joules, 339 components. That's pretty impressive, actually. Type 20, 39 joules, 350 components for the Type XX. Excuse me. That last one's for the Type 20. For the Type XX, it has 350 components. That's insane. Availability. It's available now, but the price tag is 19,100 euros. It's over 20 grand. That's a pretty penny. So Breguet knows that they are an icon, and their price tag shows it. I don't know fully why Breguet is kind of an unsung hero. I feel like they should be more prominent in the aviation world than IWC. But IWC makes more Flieger type. I think I kind of know why. IWC makes Flieger type pilots watches. And I think those are simply just more popular. I think people enjoy that more. And it sucks because Breguet truly like has its ties in aviation. I mean, they're attached to Air France. It's awesome. And I think this was a good move coming out with these. Oh, look at the first comment. That date wheel, though. Frowny face from Athens 7. I'm right there with you, buddy. They shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have done that, just a boy.
Why? And then they did an off-center Swiss made at the date window. That was kind of a misstep on Breguet's part. Otherwise, these would be beautiful watches, but that was kind of a bit of a misstep. But what do you think about these watches? Let me know if you would buy one. I mean, price tag. We're gonna ignore the price tag. Would you buy one of these if it was more affordable? Would you wear one? Or would you stick with an IWC or a more Fliegery type pilot's watches? For me, I'm happy with my best friend's Stover that I stole from him. Don't tell him. Oh, if you're being very naughty, very bad. Super Diesel Total. Yeah, very sexy, very fresh. Anyway, now that I'm done making fun of the Euro trash. I actually like these watches. Again, the date window is a huge fail. And assuming I could afford one, I would get one. But I'm not going to spend $20,000 on one. And that's where I'll leave it, guys. I will see you on tomorrow's Off the Cuff installment. Leave me that comment. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman. The Time Telling. Always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it with that integrated dab. Love you guys.